All glories to Nityananda, all glories to Advaita Chandra, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to the devotees of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, headed by Srivas Thakur. I beg their power so that I can properly describe Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned from his South Indian tour, Maharaj Prataparudra, the king of Orissa, became very anxious to meet him. The king sent a letter from his capital, Kathak, to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, entreating him to obtain the Lord's permission so that he could go and see him. Replying to the king's letter, the Bhattacharya wrote that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had not given his permission. After this, the king wrote him another letter. In this letter, the king requested Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, please appeal to all the devotees associated with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and submit this petition to them on my behalf. If all the devotees associated with the Lord are favorable disposed towards me, they can submit my petition at the lotus feet of the Lord. By the mercy of all the devotees, one can attain the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Without his mercy, my kingdom does not appeal to me. If Gaura Hari, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, will not show mercy to me, I shall give up my kingdom, become a mendicant and beg from door to door. When the Bhattacharya received this letter, he became very anxious. He then took the letter and went to the devotees of the Lord. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya met with all the devotees and described the king's wishes. Then he presented the letter to all of them for inspection. Upon reading the letter, everyone was astonished to see that King Prataparudra had so much devotion for the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The devotees gave their opinion and said, "The Lord will never meet the king, and if we requested him to do so, the Lord would surely feel very unhappy." Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya then said, "We shall go once again to the Lord, but we shall not request him to meet the king. Rather, we shall simply describe the good behavior of the king." Having thus reached a decision, they all went to the place of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There, although ready to speak, they could not even utter a word. After they arrived at Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's place, the Lord, seeing them, said, "What have you all come for here to say? I see that you want to say something, but you do not speak. What is the reason?" Nityananda Prabhu then said, "We want to tell you something. Although we cannot stay without speaking, we are still very much afraid to speak." Jai Gurudev. Jai Saraswati Devi. "We want to submit before you something that may or may not be fitting. The matter is this: unless he sees you, the king of Orissa will become a mendicant." Nityananda Prabhu continued, "The king has decided to become a mendicant and accept the sign of a mendicant by wearing an ivory earring. He does not want to enjoy his kingdom without seeing the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu." Nityananda Prabhu continued, "The king also expressed his desire to see the moon-like face of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his eyes' full satisfaction. He would like to raise the lotus feet of the Lord to his heart." Hearing all these statements, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mind was certainly softened, but externally he wished to speak some harsh words. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "I can understand that you all desire to take me to Kathak to see the king." Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, "What to speak of spiritual advancement? All the people will blaspheme me, and what to speak of all the people? Damodar would chastise me. I shall not meet the king at the request of all the devotees, but I shall do so if Damodar will give his permission." Damodar immediately replied, "My lord, you are the fully independent Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since everything is known to you, you know what is permissible and what is not permissible. I am merely an insignificant jiva, so what power do I have to give directions to you? By your own personal choice, you will meet with the king. I shall see it. The king is very much attached to you, and you are feeling affection and love towards him. Thus I can understand that by virtue of the king's affection for you, you will touch him. Although you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead and are completely independent, still you are dependent on the love and affection of your devotees. That is your nature." Nityananda Prabhu then said, "Who is there in the three worlds who can ask you to see the king? Still, isn't it the nature of an attached man to give up his life if he does not attain his desired object? For instance, some of the wives of the Brahmanas who were performing sacrifice gave up their lives in the presence of their husbands for the sake of Krishna." Nityananda Prabhu then submitted one suggestion for the Lord's consideration. "There is a way," he suggested, "by which you need not meet the king, but which would enable the king to continue living. If you, out of your mercy, sent one of your outer garments to the king would live, hoping to see you sometime in the future." The Lord said, "Since you are all very learned personalities, whatever you decide, I shall accept." Lord Nityananda Prabhu then obtained an external garment used by the Lord by requesting it from Govinda. Thus Nityananda Prabhu delivered the old cloth into the care of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya sent it to the king. When the king received the old cloth, he began to worship it exactly as he would worship the Lord personally. After returning from his service in South India, Ramananda Roy requested the king to allow him to remain with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Ramananda Roy requested the king to allow him to stay with the Lord, the king immediately gave him permission with great satisfaction. As for the king himself, he began to solicit Ramananda Roy to make a meeting arrangement. The king told Ramananda Roy, "Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very, very merciful to you. Therefore, please solicit my meeting with him without fail." The king and Ramananda Roy returned together to Jagannath Puri, and Sri Ramananda Roy met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. At that time, Ramananda Roy informed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu about the ecstatic love of the king. Indeed, as soon as there was some opportunity, he repeatedly informed the Lord about the king. Sri Ramananda Roy was indeed a diplomatic minister for the king. His general behavior was very expert, and simply by describing the king's love for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gradually softened the Lord's mind. Mahaprabhu Pattabharudra is in great anxiety. He could not endure not seeing the Lord. Therefore Sri Ramananda Roy, by his diplomacy, arranged a meeting with the Lord for the king. Sri Ramananda Roy frankly requested Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, "Please show your lotus feet to the king at least once." Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, "My dear Ramananda, you should make this request after duly considering whether it is befitting for a sannyasi to meet a king. If a mendicant meets a king, this world and the next world are both destroyed. For the mendicant, indeed, what is there to say of the next world? In this world people will joke if a sannyasi meets a king. Ramananda Roy replied, my dear Lord, you are the supreme independent personality. You have nothing to fear from anyone because you are not dependent on anyone. When Ramananda Roy addressed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu objected, saying, I am not the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but an ordinary human being. Therefore, I must fear public opinion in 3 ways, with my body, mind, and words. As soon as the general public finds a little fault in the behavior of a sannyasi, they advertise it like wildfire. A black spot of ink cannot be hidden on a white cloth. It is always very prominent. Okay, we stop here for today. We read on tomorrow. Jai Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila chapter 12, the cleansing of the Kundicha temple ki Jai. Jai Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. Then we read from Revealed Truth by His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Sundar Govindadev Goswami Maharaj. This is from chapter 5, called The Emporium of All Rasa. This paragraph is called Inconceivable Sweetness. This is the divine conception of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he taught that it is the gist of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The worshipful desired goal of our life is the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his divine form of Prajendra Nandan Krishna, who is manifest in his abode of Vrindavan. All beauty, all charm, everything opulent, tasteful and ecstatic is present within Krishna's Vrindavan Leela. Everything is there in Vrindavan. Brajesha Tanya Krishna and his full love play. Service there in the mood of the Brajabasis, Krishna's beloved girlfriend, is the supreme service, and that is our life's goal. That type of ecstatic love for Krishna. All beauty, ecstasy and everything is present within the Krishna conception. Only Krishna can be our heart and soul. The full-fledged conception of Krishna consciousness is found in that Brajendra Nandan Krishna conception, the sonhood of Godhead. A great devotee, Kunaraj Khan, wrote a book named Sri Krishna Vijay. It begins, Nanda Nandana Krishna, Mora Prananatha, Ei Vakya Vikainu Tara, Vamsera Bata. Nanda Nandana Krishna is my heart and soul. Mahaprabhu Sri Chaitanya Dev was very attracted to this conception, and after hearing Kunaraj Khan's expression, Mahaprabhu was so charmed that he said, I consider myself a slave of a dog from the house of Kunaraj Khan. Raghupati Upadhyaya also described the sonhood of Godhead to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Shrutim apare srmitim itare bharatam, anye bachatanu bhavabhita, aham iha nandam vande, yashalinda param brahma. This is from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, 1996. Those who are very fearful of this mundane enjoyment can be that way. This mundane environment can be that way. They can worship the Shruti, Smriti, Mahabharata, Vedas, Vedanta, Upanishads and so on. I do not want to go to that way. I do not see that as my necessity. I feel that all I need is Krishna's mercy. I know that Krishna's place in the courtyard of his father Nanda Maharaj, so I feel I will receive Krishna's mercy through Nanda Maharaj. I feel that I need only to take the dust of Nanda Maharaj's lotus feet on my head. By doing so, that I will surely receive Lord Krishna's mercy. In this verse, Raghupati Upadhyaya describes Krishna as Param Brahma, the Supreme Absolute. Everyone already knows Krishna is Param Brahma. Brahma Samhita said it, Srimad Bhagavatam said it, and Krishna himself said it everywhere in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. But who can conceive that Krishna, who is Para Brahma, plays in the courtyard of his father Nanda Maharaj? Who can conceive that Mother Yasomati chastises Krishna with a stick? This is the inconceivable beauty of the sweet absolute reality, of the Krishna conception, the sonhood of Godhead, the ocean of rasa. Raghupati Upadhyaya later charmed Mahaprabhu with another verse. Krishna does not have only one kind of divine form, he has three, one for each of his environments where he engages in his pastimes: Dwarka, Mathura and Vrindavan. The quality and qualification of Vrindavan Krishna, the youthful, playful Krishna, is supreme. Raghupati Upadhyaya said, Shyamam eva param, rupam puri madhupuri vara, vaya kaishwaryakam, deyam atva eva paro rasa. The divine form of Shyamasundar Krishna is the Lord's supreme form. Mathura Vrindavan is the Lord's supreme abode. Krishna's youthful form is the supreme form of worship, and Adi Rasa, Madhura Rasa, is the supreme rasa. The divine youthful form of Krishna is the source of all rasa. All rasa comes from him, like Manasarova, the lake in which the Ganges and all other sacred rivers are present. Krishna is known as Rasabdi, the ocean of rasa, the ocean of nectar. The Jiva souls are so fortunate because they are tiny and can swim in the nectarian ocean of Sri Krishna's pastimes. Rasa has 5 principal styles: Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhura, and 7 kinds of secondary styles: Hasya, laughter, Adbhuta, wonder, Vira, valor, Karuna, sorrow, Rodra, anger, Bibhatsha, disgust, and Bhai, fear. In Krishna's pastimes, all of these rasas swim together like baby fish, happily playing together and kissing. The origin of Paramur love. When time and fortune favorably come to us, we can inquire about rasa, and our research will lead us to Madhura Rasa. There are so many rasas, but all the rasas are present into Madhurya Rasa. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explained, as sky, air, fire and water are present within earth, so all rasas, Shanta, Dasya, Sakya and Vatsalya, are present within Madhura Rasa. Madhura Rasa is the supreme ecstasy. It is Sarva Rasa Sambara, the combined form of all rasas. We have heard that Krishna is the Akila Rasamrita Murti, the emporium of all rasa, the concentrated form of all rasa. But more than this general idea, we can understand that because all rasas are fully present within Madhura Rasa, Krishna being described as the Akila Rasamrita Murti means that he is the Sringara Rasa Murtiman, the concentrated form of Madhura Rasa in Paramur love. All the scriptures have said this also, and that is a miracle. Vedavyas began the Vedanta Darshan with the sutra Atato Brahma Jigyasa, search for Brahma, and Jamadi Asha Yatha. He, Purna Brahma Krishna, is the source of everything. Then he wrote Anandamoya Vyasat. He, Krishna, is the Anandamoya, the Satchit Ananda Vigraha, the embodiment of truth, consciousness and ecstasy. So the Vedanta Darshan begins by telling us, Lord Krishna is Anandamoya, he is the reservoir of ecstasy, and we find our all full nourishment in him. Then Vedavyas said, Rasa Vaisa, he is Rasa, Krishna is Rasa, so Krishna is the creator of all creation. Janmadi Asya Yatha, with Rasa, with sweetness. In other words, it is Krishna, the emporium of all Rasa, who is the creator of all creation. This means that it is his manifestation, Krishna, the sweet absolute manifestation, that is everywhere. It is the play of the divine couple, Radha Krishna, that is the origin of everything. It is Radha Krishna's play that is overflooded all over the transcendental and material worlds. This is the real meaning of Janmada Asya Yatha. That form which everything comes from, it is necessary for us to realize this and connect with that. Yeah, so we can think about that today. Everywhere is Krishna's rasa, everywhere is Krishna's manifestation, and we connect with that. In which way do we connect with that? In our daily service. In which way? Anybody? In which way can we connect with our environment to feel some connection with the Lord? Humility, tolerance, and giving honor to others with affection and love. Yeah? Okay. It's not about us, it is about how we can serve the environment, right? Okay, we stop here. Revealed truth by His divine grace, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Maharaj Ki Jai. Who's gonna sing Hari Araya?
Hari Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namah.
Hari Araya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namah.
अति सुंदर गोविंद गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। ओम भक्ति गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। ओम भक्ति सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। कृपानुगा गुरुवार राजा की जय। नाम ठाकुर की जय। भक्ति विलास महारानी की जय। समाज वैष्णव मंगल की जय। समाज भक्तवृंद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। जय सच्ची की जय। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय।
Sta già da pare in dotino.
Tutte cose.